I'm Ann Leffel, and I'm president of the Monterey County Business Council. I'm so thrilled every day when I wake up here and see something new starting. And a lot of times it'll be something in the paper that we don't even realize has been blossoming for some time. A good example is the new Institute for Innovation and Economic Development. What we found when we started looking are that there are more patents in the Salinas Valley per person than there are any place else in the United States. And if you think about it, it's born out of necessity, because every day they have to do something in order to compete against the rest of the world. The problem is they continue to compete against each other. We need to get them a little bit more in the competitive to the outside world and not just within our county boundaries. I think if you look at gas flow meters, we have the largest concentration in the United States of gas flow metering companies, and that's all out of innovation. Each time somebody thinks up something new, if the current owner doesn't like it, they send them off someplace else to start a new company. And so we continue to just grow and leapfrog. I know you've spoken to some people in the wine industry, and so I won't go into that, but when you look at some of the corkage and some of the bottling and the labeling and the innovative things that they do, every day I'm awed by the difference in their plantings, their staking. They've started a different staking than any place else in the world, and all of that becomes a more green way of doing business in a more innovative way. We have Language Line, and Language Line started with Jeff Monks, a police officer up in San Jose who had some connections here, and when he would do 911 calls, he would find that he could not communicate with the people, particularly in a lot of domestic situations. So he started a translation company with Monterey Institute and the Defense Language Institute, and gave birth to Language Line, which was purchased by AT&T and then purchased back by a private set of investors, and it's the world's largest translation and interpretation company. We've got Lee Lorenz and Shop.com, and who would ever think the little shopping cart that we all use as we go around the internet actually was born here with someone's innovation and with the way that they think about doing business on the internet. Marine research. Now there's something that never stops. Dr. Marcia McNutt, the head of the USGS, was here 3 weeks ago and told us that the oil capping in the Gulf was actually in part due to the work that they've done with the robotic research at Moss Landing Marine Labs in Baer. So every day when we wake up, we can turn on television or we can look at something and see a way that this area touched someone. I sit on the board of the Central Coast Broadband Consortium. A problem that we have in this area is that a lot of the connectivity that's in place was put there for the universities and it was put there for the government. And business is not allowed on it. It will break the charter if business is to try to get onto it. So it's been our challenge from an economic development standpoint to try to put business into the same type of connectivity that we have for government and education. And I believe it can be done. I believe we just all need to continue to chip away at it. Just across the street from where we're interviewing today, we have Redshift, and Tony Cricelli has just been a pioneer in putting wireless towers up and down the Salinas Valley and giving people much higher access than they've ever had before. We have a green hospitality. And when we put on a green hospitality symposium last fall at Cal State University, Monterey Bay, we found that we have more green practices going on here than anyone could ever have believed. We've got zero net waste for a lot of our events, which no one else has. The London Olympics in 2012 are actually striving to have the same factor of waste reduction that we have here on the Monterey Bay. Chartwell School was the first elementary school in the United States to have a LEED Platinum status, as is the College of Law. We've got buildings that are popping up almost monthly now that are in LEED status, whether it's silver, gold, or platinum. And our hospitality industry is now starting to wake up and to see that that's really a story that can be told. The Green Meeting Industry Council, which is international, is having its its annual meeting here in the fall based on the fact that we have been able to prove to them that we really are an environmentally sensitive and a great place to have meetings for their group. When you look at our waste management district out in Marina, the dump is like the most amazing place. They had a problem with food safety next door with the Jefferson Farms, and if you've ever been out there, you know the seagulls come in and go out on a daily basis, and that's not very good for produce that's growing next door. So they brought in a falconer, and they have 2 falcons who circle all day long, and the gentleman rides around on an ATV, and he signals them in and then sends the next one up, and the seagulls have virtually disappeared. And it's kind of like a movie where no animals have been harmed in the filming of this movie, because the seagulls aren't stupid. They have decided they can go someplace else for their daily food, and the produce next door now is extremely safe because it's not subjected to what's flying overhead. A big facet here for all of us, I think, is the quality of life, and it's one reason why we're here. And you meet people like Michael Waxer, who was the designer for Tehama, which is the golf course up in Carmel Valley. They have the first solar panels that were installed here in our region. If you look at the innovative things that he did there with water catchment systems, with gray water usage, and with solar, he was so far ahead of his time. He's at least 20 years ahead of a lot of us, but that really sets the pace for our area. And it's the type of thing that when you come here and you see it, you have that aha moment of this is where I want to be, and this is really the type of lifestyle that I would like to participate in. And that flows over into Chartwell School for the first LEED elementary school. The Tanamir and Antle Library at Cal State University, Monterey Bay is a LEED Silver building. And I think we'll continue to see that around our area. Because we have such an amazing language asset base with 177 languages spoken here within our county, we're also able to accommodate people from throughout the world. So we can tell our story when they come, but we can also make them feel very hospitable when they're here, because they feel wanted, because there's someone who can speak to them and someone who can translate for them, and I think that's important. We have a lot of medical facilities that are cutting edge, and for a community our size, it's almost unheard of to see the resources that we have and new innovations that are coming daily through some of our surgeons and through some of our research that's going on here in this area. One of the things I think that's going forward is we have a trademark pending on the word wellcation. And it is the premise that people can come here for the type of surgeries that they would go to Mayo Clinic or to a larger industrial area for. But they can come here, and an idea is that if you are having your hip replaced, which a lot of us are at our ages right now, and you're a golfer, you could actually come here, have it replaced. When you're doing your rehabilitation, we can hook you up with a golf pro, and you can continue to start to get your swing back and to get your stance back, so that when you go back to some place where it's snow still up to your knees, you're ready when the thaw comes, so that you can get out there on the golf course and you're not stiff. Same thing with elbows, shoulders, and any other type of joint replacement that all of us baby boomers seem to be lined up for right now. And that should start within the next year. We're putting together the website for it right now and getting ready to kick that off with some of the providers here in our area. And I honestly think if I had my choice of having something done in Mayo Clinic in February or coming to Monterey, I'd choose Monterey hands down. So I think that's the type of thing. And that's the story that we have to tell, because people don't think of us as a place to come for that type of procedure. But we've got surgeons we can stack up against anyone. Another fabulous place that we have here in our area is Laguna Seca. And people come from all over the world for the autos and for the bikes. That is another place where there are innovative, creative things going on a daily basis that the world knows about, and sometimes as residents we don't know about them. Gaming is another big issue here. And it started with Navy Postgraduate School and DLI with what they needed for training pieces. But if you look at Mike Zaida, who has now gone south to USC, but who flies home every weekend to his house in Carmel, we have an amazing group of gamers who are here, who are really setting the world on fire with their innovative ideas. The Navy Postgraduate School has pioneered a lot of the simulations and the gaming for education and training that now go on worldwide. And as we see virtual training classes expand, it's an amazing thing to be out on an aircraft carrier and see what comes in a small box that can train an entire classroom or an entire ship of people, both in safety and in new experiences and in new ways of doing things. A lot of it comes out of the military, and a lot of what the military develops goes back on a shelf because they don't know how to commercialize it. And that's one thing the Institute for Innovation and Economic Development at Cal State University, Monterey Bay hopes to take forward, which is that commercialization. Our aquarium is amazing because it brings visitors in from everywhere. But when they're in our restaurants, we don't tell them they're eating Monterey produce. We don't tell them they're eating Monterey beef. And we need to do a better job of that because we have such innovative produce here. 89 different types of specialty produce grown right here in the Salinas Valley. That's an amazing story to tell.